Disclaimer: we do not own anything talked about or shown in this video. Weiss Schwarz is owned by Bushiroad, and we make this video and others like it simply out of enjoyment for the card game. What's up, YouTube? Hope everybody's doing well. This is Koolaid, aka Billy, from BaseDamage, bringing you a what I call deck construction video. Not so much a deck build, which I still enjoy doing deck builds with, say, JoeSchmmo, who I will throw his YouTube channel link in the description, and you guys can check out a whole bunch of his deck builds. One of the deck builds up there is actually a set that I want to talk about today. Was a deck build that me and him did based off of the YuukiYuuki deck from the extra booster in SAO. And as much as I like doing the deck builds with Joe, aka Kyle, and making stuff like that is really fun, but I wanted to do this more as a personal test/experience for making videos, because I'm wanting to work on that as well, but that's whatever. But this is more based off of stuff you can do in the set, based off of what you can potentially make. You don't have to follow my deck build as a particular exact to the letter, this has got to be followed or you're a effing noob type thing, which a lot of people seem to really talk about in more of their deck build videos. And this is more just, I like this extra booster set and I wanted to share the options that are in it. But to start off, this is also a more personal one for me because I started Weiss Schwarz with the Sword Art Online set, which was actually the Mono Blue Sinon and Kirito when the Gun Gale extra booster came out. So that came out in April 10th, 2015. And that was a little while later. I want to say the next month after I picked it up from my buddy Robbie. And the week after that, we went to Animazement, which was a convention in Raleigh. And I picked up more cards for it. But for the most part, it was just Mono Blue, worked with that. And it was what I started on. So being able to, one, do a video pertaining to that and the other stuff mentioned in that set, but also just be able to show my observations and my opinions. There's a lot of opinions in this, but it's also opinions that are based off of experience. Both running Sword Art Online between older sets and between this set, which I have attempted to thoroughly play test between me and another guy named Nick, who we both made our own version of this deck. This is why I'm wanting to just kind of throw ideas of everything in here and just let y'all know about it, see what sticks. But let's see, the main build I'm talking about is what I call the YuukiYuuki deck, which is based off of Asuna and Yuki. So it's yellow and green. One of the bigger things I wanted to point out in this is the fact of, ever since this came out, I've seen quite a few deck builds topping in the regionals. This particular, the Mother's Rosario set came out May 27th, 2016. So in 2016 alone, I've seen quite a few deck builds running the Zekken Yuki engine, which they ran instead of the Asuna Invites to Party engine, which I'll explain both of those in a little bit here, and also discuss from there the difference in both the cards, as well as maybe even some other options that could be thrown in at a later day. But let's get right into it. One thing I specifically want to mention about the extra boosters in general, I really enjoy the fact that the extra boosters are even made because of the availability and the ease in which you can make quite a few decks just from the extra boosters alone. So future videos I'm going to put out actually involve the Nisekoi extra booster set, in which I can make an entire deck based off of just from that extra booster, minus 2-3 cards. The same with this. My entire deck, minus 4 cards, is all from the extra booster. I'll explain which ones I actually brought in just as a couple little tech cards. But for the most part, the extra boosters, I really, really like the fact that, one, even if you don't want to get the entire thing foiled out, which I like this about Weiss Schwarz in general, you can just grab all the non-foils and make an extremely much cheaper and just as efficient as any other deck from this extra booster, and I thoroughly enjoy the fact that that can be done. So, let's see. One, the fact of availability. YuukiYuuki, the new level 1, which I prefer as a engine. I prefer this over the other cards that are going to be mentioned in this as far as searchers or engines, whatever you want to call it. And that is the YuukiYuuki that is a level 1, 0 cost, green. She's got 4,000 base power and the 2 effects. When this card is placed on stage from hand, this card gets plus X power until end of turn. X is equal to 500 multiplied by the number of avatar or net characters you have. Now, it doesn't say other, so she actually counts herself. So, say, for example, if you play just her, she becomes a 45, which, that's whatever. But, you know, the more optimal thing is, for every single one of your characters on your stage, she has the option of, or the chance of becoming at least plus 25, becoming a 6/5. On top of that, include her Climax combo, which is a 1k1, the Mother's Rosario Gold Bar 1k1. She's a 75 if you have a full field swinging, guaranteed. And that alone is really cool. The bad part is that's only on the turn that she's played, and thus forth she loses that buff when it comes back around to your opponent's turn. However, with certain back row cards, she can still maintain a fairly high buff and a fairly high defense, just depending on what you got playing and just depending on what your opponent throws at you too. But the main ability that I prefer over Asuna Invites to Party is her combo that with the searching, and that is when this card attacks, you may pay the cost. If Mother's Rosario is in your climax area, the cost being you pay 1 stock and put a card from your hand into the waiting room. So you get a little bit of hand fixing if you have extra climaxes, but that's whatever. If you do, search your deck for up to 2 avatar or net characters, reveal them to your opponent, put them into your hand, shuffle your deck, and this card gets plus 1 level until the end of your opponent's next turn. If you are able to buff her, that plus 1 level makes it so your opponent can't really side. You know, if you get her up buff enough with a couple other back row cards I'll mention later, or try to mention later, and that makes it so they can't side and do as much damage. That's whatever. But the fact that for really only paying 1 and a little bit of hand fixing, you get 2 out of the combo, which can set up for multiple levels. Say you want to go ahead and grab one of your level 3s for late game, and go ahead and grab a level 2 for the next level just to have it. To me, that sets up a lot better, and just overall, to me, is more enjoyable. Sure, you get like 2 of these on the field, you discard 2 cards and end up still plussing 2. You plus a lot more in this for the lower cost of only paying 1 stock. This is, once again, this is all my opinion, just from what I have messed around with and what I have observed, because I don't actually have Asuna Invites to Party, so I haven't actually been able to mess with that, mostly because the disadvantage of her being she's a double rare, and she's also from one of the very first Sword Art pack that came out. So one, that set isn't even made, to my knowledge right now, that isn't even made right now. Plus double rare, and it just, I can't find anybody who has extra copies or is even willing to attempt to trade, let alone consider it, because my trade supplies are, But she is also a level 1, but she is a yellow. Both are she's 0 cost, just like Zekken. She starts off with a little bit higher attack. She starts off with 45. Now, she also has two abilities, which first ability is still a buffing effect, kind of like Zekken. But hers is if the number of avatar net characters you have is at least 3 or more, she gets plus 1,000. So you have to have more cards on the field in addition to her, which that doesn't particularly bother me. That just means you have to commit a little more to hand. Whatever you're not able to go ahead and play, like back row, level 0s, your global 500s, whatever you want to play, you just got to commit a little bit more, but she can become better off both offense and defense that way, depending on what you have in the back row. Especially considering defense, and that's just whatever. But because of her defense, they kind of nerfed her climax ability. But her climax with the Star Splash, which is a 1k1 spin trigger, or shot trigger if you happen to have the promo, which I vastly prefer the shot version. That's just saying. But when she attacks, if Star Splash is in your climax area, pay 1 stock and search for 1 avatar net. Both of these have the similar ability of when it attacks versus on play, like, say, Shimakaze from Kantai, which, with the climax combo, doesn't have to pay any stock, but has to reverse the opponent, the opposing character that she's facing. So that's the only thing, is you have to be able to reverse it. With both of these, you don't have to reverse them, which is already amazing as it is. You can go ahead and get it out the way. You can go ahead, you ain't got to worry about backups, to be completely honest. That's the one thing Shimakaze has to worry about, is both how big is the character she's facing, and does your opponent have any backups to be able to stop it? That's kind of where it comes into, I love Shimakaze, but girl, as opposed to these other two, these just work better. But also looking at the availability, if you're trying to find them online, the price is actually not that bad. Granted, you have the better chances of pulling Zek and Yuki from the extra booster than you will trying to grab Asuna Invites to Party on the internet. Granted, when I looked around for prices now before making this video, I found that the prices were not that far off, which was, once again, surprising considering rare versus just a double rare. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Both of them were about $10. I'm saying about because you got to give or take a little bit plus shipping. That's whatever. But shipping applies to wherever. That's usually prices included. It doesn't matter. But I found the fact that they are so close is actually very surprising. In case you are able to find someone somewhere selling it for a relatively decent price, if they go for like 12 or 13, you're not too far off from what it is, and that's not too bad to me. I was able to pick up a lot of these Zek and Yukis based off of just getting in packs, or people had them for trade, and that was really so good that I was able to get those, and I'm very glad that my buddies had those. But just as a personal preference of the two, I have to say that I prefer the Zek and Yuki. One of the finisher level 3s actually can help. She can actually help with, and I'll mention that in a little bit. But that's just those particular cards that I wanted to mention right at the beginning, just off the bat. Some of the other cards I liked experimenting with, as opposed to, like, for the other two climax combos you had off of Demise of Zekken and Braves of the 27th Floor. The combo for Braves of the 27th Floor I didn't like as much, but I really wanted to point out something else with the Demise of Zekken combo, is which when you use Berserk Healer Asuna, which is a level 2, so you can go ahead and grab her with Zekken Yuki, like, early on. She gets 500 power for every one of your other avatar net characters. So by herself, full field, she's a 9k level 2. That alone is amazing. Her climax combo with the other climax that I run, Demise of Zekken, which is a 1k1 spin trigger, also very useful. This combo, coupled with another card, actually helped me get over the Colossal Titan wall. And I'm talking the fully powered 17,000 wall that they can make, and I thought that was beautiful. But her climax combo is when she attacks. You don't have to pay anything, just when she attacks, if Demise of Zekken is there, she gets 4,000 power and plus 1 soul. So let's do the math here. She becomes a 9k if you have a full field. She gets 1,000 off of the climax itself, making her a 10k. That already closes a massive gap with a lot of other characters. Then she gets plus 4,000 power and plus 1 soul. So by herself, full field, she becomes a 14,000 before any other buffs. And the other card that I wanted to add in with this is the Innocent and Uninhibited Yuki, who is a level assist for 500 times the character's level, so it'll give her another 1,000. She becomes a 15 at that point. Then she has another ability. Choose one of your avatar net characters, and that character gets 1,500 power until the end of turn. So if you're able to pay 2 off of that, she becomes an 18. if I did the math right there. Yeah, she would become an 18, and that doesn't even include other stuff on the field that could be buffing her. So that was amazing that I was able to get over that wall. No, it wouldn't be 18. It would be 17,500. I was 500 over getting over the wall. So correct math there. I can do math. And because of that, I made a buddy very much rage that I was able to get over the wall, and he's just like, dang it, how nothing else could ever get over this, which there's other ways to get over it. Shoutouts to Madoka for making 20k beat stick. Ugh. Anyway, and my two particular level 3 finishers for the deck are the Vestige of an Elder Sister, Asuna, and the Memories That Were Fun, Yuki. Sorry, I tried to find pictures for these, but I just couldn't find them, and maybe it's because of how relatively new they are. Granted, some of the other pictures that I've had to put up for this are going to be in Japanese as opposed to English, but I'll just try to explain the effects as best I can. That is being Vestige of an Elder Sister has a combo, on play you heal one, and has a combo with the Sword Skill War Yuki that basically when you do the combo, you mill 11 cards and attempt to burn for that much. And then when that Sword Skill War Yuki is put into memory by her own effect, Asuna's other burn effect, attempt to burn for 1 if her damage is cancelled, is live. The other level 3, which is the Memories That Were Fun Yuki, is a on play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Avatar net, she has clock shoot until end of turn, and that ability alone has saved me so much. Shoutouts to Akagi Kai. But before we try to close out this video in just a little bit, I wanted to talk about 2 more things, and that was the other cards that I put in here from the other sets, which was Autumn Walk Asuna, and she's just a level 1 5k, and she gets 1,000 every time another Avatar net swings, which is just a cute little sniper to be able to kill stuff. And Vice Commander Asuna, this is going to be the harder one to get because the Autumn Walk Asuna is from the Gun Gale extra booster. This is from an earlier set, and it's just it's a 2k, it's a 1k backup, but if you have at least 2 or more Avatar net characters, you can give another character 1,000. So you either give 1,000 to 2 different characters or 2k all to 1. Both of which were very, very useful. And I've just been able to save characters that way with it. I only tech in 1 just for the heck of it. If I could tech in another card, it would be the level 3 Letha's Pure Wish. Comes from a much earlier set. I think it's the first set. I don't know. I haven't checked it at the time of making this video. But she's a level 3 that can come out on level 2 if you have 5 or less cards in your deck. She gives all your other Avatar net characters 1,500. And when you swing with her, you can pay 1, discard a card to get plus 3,000, and she can't be chosen by your opponent's effects. Meaning, she comes out on level 2, and she can make herself immune to anti-change. Stuff like the Zuiho from Kantai, or the level 1 Nico from Love Live, that mostly says, get off the field. She goes, nope, can't do it. And that's just amazing to me. I've been wanting to try to see if I can pick one up and or one or 2 up and just try it out. But that's whatever. One of the other finishers I thought about testing out, but this has cost a little bit more than what I'm willing to try to pick up, is Asuna's Commanding Strength. On play, heal 1, and when she attacks, you can pay 1 and discard 1. All Avatar characters get plus 500 power and plus 1 soul. The 500 power is minimal at most, but the plus 1 soul across the board, if you do not have a climax combo, is great to me. And just also the heal, can't really downside that in any way, shape, or form. Let's see. One of the other things I wanted to mention real quick is the number of SAO decks that have shown representation in the regionals that have gone on. And that is more to say that in all the regionals that have occurred in, I'm just going to label 2016 alone, the ones that have made it into the top 3. And so far, I have counted 11 regionals out of the I want to say 20 or so. So about half of the regionals have some kind of SAO deck topping, 6 of which were first place, bouncing around between the blue, yellow, green build of Asuna, Yuki, and Sinon, which I'll explain that in just a second as well. That was a really fun idea I had with the Zekken Yuki and Last Shot Sinon, which is more of a deck I wanted to try out that's just blue-green, but I'll get to that later. 1 that came in second place, and 3 that came into fourth place. One in particular I wanted to mention that ran the Yuki Sinon engine, but instead of running any Asuna whatsoever, it ran the Lisbeth engine, which is based off of the level 1 and the level 0 Lizzes that come in the Mother's Rosario set as well, which works off a bit of accelerate mechanic and are able to get you back stuff from the waiting room. So if you're able to mill a little bit with Brainstorm or whatever, and then you can get stuff back to just set up for your later plays. Between that and Yuki all at the same time, searching from the deck, salvaging from waiting room, just all around being able to just grab so much advantage, and it was just really interesting to see. I can also put up a link in the description about the where you can look at to see what decks have topped in 2016. And the last thing I wanted to mention before closing out was the saying of the Sinon finisher, which is from the Gun Gale set, which is a climax combo with the Phantom Bullet climax, which is a 1k1, but is Last Shot Sinon that can come out on level 2 if you have the level 2 to change into her. You change into her from the waiting room, which is why I mentioned the thing about the Zekken Yuki being able to discard from the hand. You could discard the level 3 Sinon and then be able to summon her back with the level 2. But she is able to do a climax combo in which you attempt to burn your opponent for 4, and if that damage gets negated, she gets a massive buff until the end of your opponent's next turn. But that's basically the finisher that a lot of these decks in the regionals have been running as far as their main finishers, is they ran the Asuna's Commanding Strength and the Last Shot Sinon. There were a couple ones that had the level 3 Kirito from the set as well, but it's one of those that can be dropped out on level 2 if your opponent has big stuff as well. So that's really fun. I like the fact that just so much diversity with just being able to bring in stuff from all the different sets of SAO. But as far as I was able to make this particular Asuna Yuki deck for so cheap and not have to go out there and get all these other expensive cards. I'm going to be testing out some other stuff. I'm going to be testing around with a couple other ideas. I even had an idea for a mono yellow. If I could potentially get the Asuna Invites to Party, I wanted to try to make a deck that both the climax combos were off of her and the Berserk Healer Asuna, so it would run 8 spin triggers. It's just the fact of every time a trigger, get off the field, just really, really cool. One of the other concepts from the Gun Gale set that I wanted to try to mess with was the waifu killer deck, quote unquote, in which running Death Gun would be the main thing around it. Mostly red and whiz to be able to get back stuff and run a whole bunch of Death Gun stuff to get field removal. But that is it for now. I just wanted to point out there are so many other cards in this set that you can run, and there's no set thing that you have to do. There is no particular one thing over the other that you would need to run. It's just really fun experimentation. A lot of stuff can be easily obtained. Those level 3s, the Yuki and the Asuna that are in this, were like $1 or $2 a piece, and that alone made the selling point of the deck so much better. The fact of it's cheap. The most expensive card being the Zekken Yuki, but if you could pull those, it doesn't matter. Or if you know people who have them, it doesn't matter. You pick this up very, very easily. And I thoroughly enjoy running this deck. I enjoy running all the decks that I have. This one in particular being just based off of a concept and based off of a series that I thoroughly enjoy and have enjoyed for the entirety of me playing Weiss Schwarz. But with that, I'm going to close out for now. I hope y'all have had fun. I hope y'all have learned a couple of things. And just as the final thoughts, buy extra boosters. You can make so many decks off of extra boosters. It is so fun. I thoroughly enjoy every time I see a new extra booster come out, and I'm like, okay, well, we can see what we can make out of this, or see what can be made off of this. But yeah, with that, I hope everyone had fun, and just enjoy. Play safe, and I'll see y'all again very soon.